Okay, so Prince Harry's back in the news, and this time it's not about the latest Netflix drama or a tell-all book. This is about a lawsuit he filed against the publisher of the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday. Basically, he's accusing them of unlawful information gathering, the whole shebang, phone hacking, illegally accessing private records, the works. Now, this isn't Harry's first rodeo when it comes to taking on the tabloids. He actually won a pretty significant case against the Mirror Group newspapers last year. He even testified himself, which was a huge deal because it was the first time a royal had done that in forever. And he won! The judge found that some of their articles were indeed based on illegally obtained information. So you'd think he'd be a pro at this point, right? Well, this new case against the Daily Mail is proving to be complicated and honestly a bit of a mess. I mean, from the sounds of it, his courtroom performance was less poised prince and more guy who really needs a stress ball. Apparently, things got heated. Really heated. We're talking tense exchanges with the judge, visible frustration, the whole 9 yards. And while it's easy to understand why he's emotional, he claims his privacy has been relentlessly invaded for years. Legal experts are saying his behavior could actually hurt his case. Think about it. In a civil trial, you need to be credible, calm, and restrained. You can't just be yelling and arguing with the judge even if you feel like you're being wrong. It just doesn't look good. It makes you seem, unstable. And that's the thing, isn't it? Harry's always been portrayed as the emotional one, the one who's not afraid to speak his mind. But in a courtroom, that can be a liability. You need to be able to control your emotions, present your evidence clearly, and let your lawyers do their job. But Harry, apparently, he couldn't help himself. He was constantly interrupting, arguing legal points, and generally making a nuisance of himself, which, again, I get it. He probably feels like he's finally getting his day in court, finally able to speak his truth. But the courtroom isn't a therapy session. It's a place for facts, evidence, and legal argument. And here's where it gets even more interesting. It seems like the Daily Mail's lawyers are trying to paint Harry as, not exactly the most reliable witness. They're questioning his memory, accusing him of using pseudonyms to contact journalists, and generally trying to undermine his credibility. One thing that's come up is the question of whether Harry is using the trial to air grievances that go way beyond the legal issues at hand. Is he really trying to hold the media accountable for unlawful behavior? Or is he just trying to settle old scores and take down the entire royal institution? It's a fair question, honestly. Because from what I'm hearing, Harry's testimony has been all over the place. He's talking about failed relationships, struggles with alcohol, the pressures of public life, all stuff that's not directly related to the alleged phone hacking and illegal information gathering. So, is he hurting his own case? Is he letting his emotions get the better of him? Is he turning a legal battle into a personal vendetta? It's hard to say for sure, but it definitely doesn't look good. And let's be real, this case is about more than just Harry's privacy. It's about the relationship between the royal family and the media, the ethics of journalism, and the public's right to know. It's a messy, complicated situation with no easy answer. And Harry's courtroom antics aren't exactly helping to clarify things. If anything, they're just making the whole thing even more dramatic and confusing. Okay, so one of the really weird things that came out of all this courtroom drama is Harry's obsession with his ex-girlfriends. He keeps bringing up Chelsea Davy and Cressida Bonus, and he's not just mentioning them in passing. He's talking about how the media ruined their lives, how they were hounded and harassed, how their relationships with him were basically destroyed by the press. It's kind of strange, right? The guy's married to Meghan Markle. You'd think he'd be focused on protecting her and their kids, but he seems way more concerned with what happened to his exes a decade ago, and he's clearly still carrying a lot of guilt about it. He's basically saying that he feels responsible for the misery they went through because they were dating. And honestly, it comes across as a little, creepy? Dude, move on. You're married, you have a family. Why are you still obsessing over your ex-girlfriends and blaming the media for everything that went wrong? It just makes him look like he's stuck in the past and can't let go of his old baggage. Then there's the whole thing with him targeting specific female journalists. He and his legal team are basically accusing Rebecca English and Katie Nichol of being part of some big conspiracy to harass him and his family. They're painting them as villains, saying that they're not just doing their jobs, but actively trying to destroy his life. But here's the thing. These women are respected journalists. They've built their careers on hard work, sources, and good reporting. They're not exactly known for being shady or unethical. So, for Harry to accuse them of being part of some grand conspiracy seems a little far-fetched, right? It's like he's trying to make them scapegoats for all the problems he's had with the media, and it's not really fair to them. They're just doing their jobs, reporting on the royal family, and sometimes that means writing things that Harry doesn't like. But that doesn't mean they're evil or that they're deliberately trying to hurt him. And the fact that some of the key sources in these stories are dead makes the whole thing even murkier. It's basically impossible to verify Harry's claims or to get the full story, so it's just a lot of accusations and assumptions with very little concrete evidence. So where does all this leave us? Well, it's hard to say for sure how this case is going to turn out, but it's definitely not looking good for Harry. He's coming across as emotional, unstable, and maybe even a little bit obsessed. And he's making some pretty serious accusations without a lot of proof. And let's be honest, even if he does win this case, it's not going to solve all his problems. He's still going to be a public figure. He's still going to be scrutinized by the media. And he's still going to have to deal with the pressures of being a royal. So maybe he needs to focus less on suing the tabloids and more on finding a way to live with the reality of his life. So the thing that's really got me scratching my head is Harry's whole take on journalism. He basically thinks if an article quotes an unnamed source or even mentions a friend, it's automatically a personal attack or some kind of criminal act. Like, seriously? I mean, come on. That's just not how journalism works. Off-the-record briefings and anonymous sources are like standard practice. They're not always some shady conspiracy to invade people's privacy. Sometimes they're the only way to get important information out there, especially if it's sensitive stuff or if people are afraid of getting fired or worse. And Harry seems to be jumping to conclusions left and right. He's always assuming the worst, interpreting every little thing as proof of some malicious intent. It's like he's seeing conspiracies everywhere, and that's putting people in really awkward positions. Take Natalie Pinkham, for example. He keeps bringing her up, and it's like she's being dragged into this whole mess just because she knows people and talks to the press. It doesn't seem fair to her, you know? But I guess you gotta consider where Harry's coming from. He's been dealing with the press since he was a kid. He's seen firsthand how invasive and relentless they can be. I mean, his mom died because of it, right? So it's understandable that he's super protective of his privacy and that he's suspicious of the media. But at some point, you gotta wonder if he's taking it too far. Is he being cautious? Or is he bordering on paranoid? Is he seeing things that aren't really there? Because if he's not careful, his mistrust could end up hurting him more than helping him. He might misjudge people, alienate potential allies, and just generally make himself look like he's overreacting to everything. And it's not like he hasn't had some wins against the tabloids in the past. Remember that case against the Mirror Group? He actually won that one. He proved that they had illegally obtained information for some of their articles. So it's not like he's just making stuff up. There's definitely a history of the press behaving badly. But this new case against the Daily Mail is different. It's not as clear-cut. And Harry's behavior in court isn't exactly helping his cause. I mean, even if he's right about the Daily Mail, he needs to be able to present his case in a calm and rational way. He can't just be ranting and raving and accusing everyone of being out to get him. It's like he's so focused on the past, on all the times he's been wrong, that he can't see the bigger picture. He's letting his emotions cloud his judgment, and that could end up costing him everything. And honestly, the stuff about his ex-girlfriends is just weird. I get that he feels bad about what they went through because of him, but why is he bringing it up now? It's like he's trying to make a point about how the media ruins lives, but it just comes across as him being stuck in the past. And it's not really relevant to the current case, is it? And then there's the whole thing with him targeting those female journalists. It just seems like he's trying to deflect blame and make them the bad guys. But they're just doing their jobs. And if he doesn't like what they're writing, he should focus on proving that they're publishing false information, not just accusing them of being part of some conspiracy. It's a mess, I tell you, a total mess. And I'm not sure how it's going to end, but I have a feeling that Harry's going to regret some of the things he's said and done in court. He might win the case, but he might also end up damaging his own reputation even further. And that would be a real shame.